Justice denied for GBV victims due to failure to prosecute. Royalty payment for forest landowners reviewed. And Waigani Christian College extends to rural areas.
This is National EMTV News with Shamaine Poriambep.
Hello, this is Monday's news. The founder and director of the Waigani Christian College is launching his foundation that hopes to create infrastructure projects for schools in remote parts of the country. The private school provider says this was one of his dreams after seeing the need in education.
The private school owner is building new infrastructure for his schools in PNG, yet he says it's not enough. He wants to give back.
It's not a business. It's a foundation to ask for donors or do fundraising or ask local MPs or other financial sources so that they can help my foundation so that they can use my foundation to go and build schools.
This time, Mr. Mool has set up his own foundation, the Mool Education Foundation.
I bought 4 sawmill, Walkabout sawmill. They are cutting timbers, 2 in the islands and 2 down in the coastal. So they are cutting timbers. And then I just go and buy an iron roof. Because timbers are very expensive to buy, so I use my own sawmill to cut timbers.
He says under the foundation, he has built classrooms back home and a church in the New Island province.
So under Mool Foundation, it's an education foundation, but I want to build church to under Mool Education Foundation because church and school, they go together. Students will get quality and best education.
Mr. Mool adds there is so much government can do in the country, but partnering with like-minded elites to deliver, government targets can be met. Bradley Valenaki, National EMTV News.
The children of Daumagini Elementary School in Sarawak Village in the Central Province will now benefit from a refurbished classroom. But this is no ordinary classroom. It is a legacy of the late Grand Chief Sir Michael Samare, who initially assisted the Sarawak community to build it with his discretionary funds in 2007.
Over 1,000 villagers of the Sarawak community gathered to witness the opening of the Daumagini Elementary School's refurbished classroom. Now, 97 elementary students will have the chance to use this renovated classroom to learn in a conducive environment.
I am really happy to see and
so that we can enrich our children, especially younger children, in their education.
Funded at a cost of 30,000 kina, the renovated classroom was a legacy of late Grand Chief Sir Michael Somare, who initially assisted the Sarawak community with 10,000 kina from his discretionary funds in 2007.
Prominent individuals from the village was actually the administrator for East Sepik. One of the first administrators was East Sepik, straight after post-independence. So that connection grew, and obviously an invitation went out to Sir Michael to visit the village. And when he did visit the village together with his administrator, the village adopted Sir Michael as one of their family and members of the village.
As Secretary General of the National Alliance Party, Walter Schnobelt, who officially opened the classroom, said he was just living the legacy of the late Grand Chief by assisting with the funding for the renovation work.
From 2007 to now, as we all know, infrastructures in a rural setting like this does deteriorate a lot. And because there's a connection with National Alliance Party to Sarawak Village and the community at large through Sir Michael's contribution in establishing this first elementary school here.
1,000 kina was also presented to the school to assist them buy their stationery. The classroom was built by volunteers from the Sarawak Village. The classroom now has a legacy not just as a founding father of the nation, but as founding father of National Alliance. Lilian Sopera-Kinea, National EMTV News.
The Prime Minister has announced a new corrections facility for the Bulolo district. The facility, which has been discussed for several years and now has the support from the national government. When it is built, it will ease overcrowding at the Buimo prison in Lae.
The investment we will make at new proposed CIS facility will not just be the ordinary CIS facilities. We want to co-opt vocational and TVET learning programs into the school precinct. It becomes not just a prison but a rehabilitation site in the fullest, a modern sort of version of correctional service institutions we want to do going forward, and we will try that one in Mumeng, and the CIS minister just launched that project there. It's a 50 million kina program.
150 fishing nets made from Indonesia will be distributed to selected communities in Kikori district. Solwara PNG Limited and the Kikori District Development Authority have teamed up to secure and deliver the fishing nets.
The presentation of over 190,000 kina to Solwara PNG Limited is one of the 5 presentations of funds towards assisting people in Kikori. The other 4 include close to 500,000 kina to 3 schools in Kikori district, including Don Bosco. An additional 247,000 kina to Sport Fishing PNG for 15 40-horsepower engines.
Right now in Kikori district, there's a need for fish bladder, is it? Yeah. And in the Asian market, it's fetching up to 3,000 kina per kilo. And this is where our young people are interested in. So that's why the nets we are supplying 4-inch and upward to 8-inch.
Being a swampy district, Kikori remains one of the toughest areas for government services to reach. While the district has the potential for economic trade, transporting supplies like fish and other seafood onto the market is very costly.
It's a very important factor to the villages, the remote areas. So instead of fixing it by hands, which take months, these nets save them a lot of time.
With these challenges at end, the DDA is now investing in horsepower engines and fishing nets to assist locals in rural Kikori.
I think these engines will be put to good use by the people there. And on behalf of the company, we would like to say thanks to the minister here for coming to us to provide them with the engines.
The funding used in this project delivery are from the DDA's Login Development Export Levy, or LDEL. Thekla Gunga, National EMTV News.
You're watching National EMTV News. We'll return after the break. Welcome back to the news. The governor for East Sepik, Alan Bird, says justice for survivors of gender-based violence is not often served because of the lack of prosecution of perpetrators. Advocate Dr. Fiona Hukula adds the lack of adequate data on related offences makes it hard to determine the level of violence and abuse that exists in the homes and communities.
Governor Bird, who is a member of the country's Special Parliamentary Committee on Gender-Based Violence, points out the breakdown in the system of justice regarding the matter is always at the very end.
Prosecution, that real serious situation around prosecutions, and then even once you do get prosecutions, convictions are not very encouraging either.
But putting perpetrators of violence behind bars is not the only concern. Advocate Dr. Fiona Hukula says it's sometimes at the beginning where matters which are supposed to be reported are refused.
There's all of these other huge issues around things like police will say, "We don't got money for fuel," and these are things that are beyond the officer that's in the station. And then the other issue, and I've talked with many police over the many years over this, about this, is that it's often because of the cycle of violence. The survivor goes because she wants some help, and then they will threaten the house, and she'll come back and say, "No, I don't want to pursue the case."
The recent news of deaths as a result of violence based on gender is a concern. Governor Bird says it's not something PNG wants to see from its children to come.
This issue of domestic violence, you can't say I'm neutral. There's no neutrality in this. If you're neutral, you're supporting it. So you've got to take a stand. And what's your stand going to be? And that's why I think it's important for young men to start taking a stand. Because otherwise, household working lo pigidi meri blo lo bientime or household working lo susa blo lo bientime.
He says the job of addressing gender-based violence is the job of everyone, not just the government, police, courts, and the non-government organizations. Bradley Valenaki, National EMTV News.
Governor Alan Bird and Dr. Fiona Hukula will have more discussion on gender-based violence with Bradley Valenaki on In Focus tonight. That's right after the news. Forest Minister Walter Schnobelt says the methods of payment for royalties to landowners and the log export development levy is being reviewed. He emphasized that logging exporters must follow rules before they load their ships. Minister Schnobelt says if there is no signed permit, then no loading will be done.
Forests Minister Walter Schnobelt wants timber royalties and the log export development levy to be reviewed. Minister Schnobelt says PNG Forest Authority's main function is to monitor and to regulate, and the methods need to be refined. He made this announcement during the handover takeover of the PNG Forest Service Acting Managing Director Tuno Sabuin to John Mosoro.
Has it that some of the logging ships are loading ships before the export permit is signed? I would like to discourage that practice immediately. You don't load the ship until the export permit is signed. You don't anticipate what the outcome will be. This is my message going out. Please, let's all follow the rules. Signed permit, load ship. No signed permit, don't load ship. That's the hard stand I'm going to take.
The National Forest Service is the implementing arm of the Papua New Guinea Forest Authority. Dr. Ruth Turia was caretaker of the office for the past 2 weeks. She says that the staff at PNGFA are working but need political support.
We've had people coming in, even outside agencies coming in and saying, "We want to help you do this, do that." My response to them is that we are not sleeping here in PNGFA. We are working. We are doing a lot of things. Our problem has been that we don't have the political support.
With John Mosoro as the new acting managing director, he said the National Executive Council purposely appointed him to review and see what is happening at the authority. Mr. Mosoro has served on the National Forest Board.
In terms of government, implement government policy, we thought that we make some changes to where we've been operating before. Some of the major policies that we will do in PNG Forest Authority, especially the corporate governance, the board, the function of the board, the new act, and also the establishment of a state entity.
Minister Schnobelt has given his full backing to the PNGFA and is going to take a hard stand on implementing the reviewed methods. Lilian Sopera Kenea, National EMTV News.
Prime Minister James Marape attended the UBS loan inquiry today at the APEC House. Also in attendance was the former Treasurer and Kandep MP Don Pollier. Prime Minister Marape said the inquiry is not to pinpoint figures, but to iron out the transaction involved and why the PNG government had opted to acquire the loan.
When we look back today, documents attached to it shows that LNG revenue that we would have collected in 2014, that the then Treasurer, the Honourable Don Pollier, forecasted in November of 2013 when handing down the 2014 budget, that the LNG revenue coming in 2014 will be collected and spent in country through the budget process. That was hijacked in the March 6th cabinet decision, chaired by O'Neill, paper sponsored by O'Neill himself, and Treasurer then, the Honourable Don Pollier, protested against this. Got sacked for this, in fact, this decision, the protest that he made. And today, 2021, 7 years on, we're now in this inquiry. This inquiry is not time-bound. I want to encourage people of Papua New Guinea. It may seem that we're consuming time and we're spending resources. But this is to establish one fact, and that is that no system of government must be used to siphon of people's resources. We are not naming anyone. We are not headhunting. There's no scalp chasing in as far as this inquiry is concerned. The Ombudsman report also includes the role I played in the inquiry. I am open about this one. It is to look into the entire transaction, differentiate what was IPIC deal. And as I told the inquiry today, IPIC deal was a masterclass. It was something that needs to be done at that point in time by the Somalia government. They did it for us to secure direct equity in the PNG LNG project.
Over 150 fish were tagged yesterday at Adventure Park in preparation for the mid-year school holiday fishing competition. The fish were tagged in colors red, yellow and green. The competition aims to engage school students and will commence this Saturday, 26th of June.
The mid-year school holiday fishing competition is on again, held at the Adventure Park at 14 Mile outside Port Moresby. The competition is seen as a great time for parents to spend time with their children. This tagged fish placed in the big lake will come with a reward once caught.
So all the fish have been tagged, and the fish that we've tagged are tilapia. Red tag is 100 kina. So if you catch a fish with a red tag, you get 100 kina. You catch a fish with a yellow tag, you get 200 kina. And for those that are lucky, they catch a fish with a green tag, they get 1,000 kina.
According to the member for Moresby South who initiated the competition, he said it is open to anyone as long as they use the right fishing tackle.
Now the rules are you have to use a hook, a line and a rod, or a hand line, but you have to catch the fish by a hook and line. You can't get a net or you can't do that sort of thing. You have to hook the fish individually with a hook.
He says the competition will run for the next 3 weeks, even though there will be 1 week holiday for schools in the city.
We will still run this every weekend for the next 3 weeks.
Podivai, National EMTV News.
And now looking at the Nest Fund market report, the kina opened unchanged at $0.2850 in the interbank market. At Bank South Pacific, the kina is buying $0.2775 $0.3595 Australian dollars, $0.3883 New Zealand dollar and 30.10 Japanese yen. Looking at the commodity prices at New York close, gold is trading lower, coffee closed higher, cocoa and copper closed lower, palm oil and copper closed lower, and crude oil is trading lower. And on the stock market, the Dow Jones closed lower, the ASX 200 is trading lower, and the All Ordinaries is trading lower.
Tukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. The sport of gridiron, commonly known as American football, is finding its feet in Papua New Guinea. What stemmed as an interest in a Philippines university is now slowly gaining momentum with a World Cup opportunity for Papua New Guinea. Slowly but surely, the sport of American football is being played not full contact as yet, but the tag form of it with full body contact matches scheduled for next year.
Gridiron, commonly known as American football, is new to Papua New Guinea, and these young men are part of history. It's not full contact, but a tag version of the sport. All this is through the interest of the founder of the PNG American Football Federation, Timothy Dom Jim. Jim played the sport back in the Philippines, a former American colony, and he thought he might introduce the sport to Papua New Guinea, and interest has been good.
I learned this sport for American football in the Philippines back in 2014 when I was studying in the Philippines at Adamson University.
The full contact version of the sport is set for 2022, and they are ready with equipment donated by sponsors in America.
This print ministry in the United States is a church ministry, but they do collect equipment from leagues and schools program in the United States, and they used to donate the equipment to countries like Papua New Guinea. We have 3 boxes of equipment that will cater for 4 tackle football teams.
PNG is a member of the International Federation of American Football as part of the Oceania region and can take part in the IFAF World Cup scheduled for 2023.
Some of the benefits that these young boys they can get from is first thing, I think the college football opportunity in the United States. That's the biggest thing I can assure the nation or the viewers that this is the major benefit that I'm looking for these boys here. And then the other thing is I'm looking at them representing Papua New Guinea at the International American Football Tournament run and hosted by International American Football Federation.
These young men are from the suburbs of Port Moresby and have been showing up at tryouts at Ella Beach.
But just youth starts also, and then time will come, introduce him. We see like an opportunity, blah blah. So blood just grab it there and then participate. So far so good. And talk with Israel America recognize me plan. All my gioko start showing interest na yeah. Bloga da mama stock come na play.
Timothy says it's easy for young Papua New Guineans who know rugby league to easily get into the sport.
We have a lot of passing plays when the quarterback gets the ball and throw it forward. And then we have running play where the quarterback gets the ball and pass it to the teammate so he can run the ball over to the opponent. And then it's more similar like rugby league where you have downs or tackles like that. So
all the information can be found on their Facebook page, especially for those that are interested for tryouts.
We have Facebook page. We put all our dates on the page so you can follow us and join us here. We have 3 teams here in Badili and Ali Beach area, so you can join. We have also a team at Geru. They are running tryouts there, and we have teams at 9 Mile and 8 Mile. So if you are living around there, you can join and follow us on Facebook, and you'll get all the updates, and you can join us.
Fidelis Sukina, Trukai Sports.
Athletics PNG sees off 2 more athletes to the United States and Australia for full-time training as preparations continue for the 2022 Mini Pacific Games and the World Cross Country Championships. Poro Gahekave is the triple gold medalist from the 2019 Pacific Games, and after 18 months back home, she is set to train and participate in the USA cross-country season from August to November later this year. Meanwhile, Misak Fred, 2019 Pacific Games 1500-meter silver medalist, has also resumed serious training in Queensland, Australia, also in preparation towards the 2022 international events. That story wraps up Trukai Sports. The weather report after this break. Stay with us.
Trukai Sports. Trukai Sports. This weather update is proudly brought to you by Moniplus. With you always.
Weather forecast for tonight and tomorrow in the southern region. Port Moresby, cloudy periods. Daru, partly cloudy. Kerama and Popondetta, cloudy periods with patchy rain. And Alotau, cloudy periods with few showers. In the Mamasa region, Lay cloudy with few showers, Medang cloudy periods with brief showers, Wewak and Vanimo cloudy with some showers. And in the New Guinea Islands, Lorengau cloudy with brief showers, Kavieng and Boka partly cloudy, Kokopo Rabaul mostly fine, and Kimbe cloudy periods. And in the Highlands region, all centres cloudy periods with patchy rain, then morning fog.
The weather update was proudly brought to you by MoneyPlus, with you always.
And that's the news, sports and weather for Monday, the 21st of June 2021. Pleasant viewing, be safe, bye for now.